What did you think of the lady at George Osborne's wedding?
Well, that got a huge amount of press. I think it crosses a line, doesn't it, to attack someone's wedding? You were probably there. Were you there?
I was actually there.
You were? I thought you might. And not in a journalistic way. So how was it? You could answer that question better than I, as a good pal.
I join me now are Josh Pieters and Archie Manners. Why did you pick on Just Stop Oil?
Just Stop Oil, I think, have left a lot of people in Britain feeling a bit like we were feeling, really, really pissed off. And I think we wanted to voice the feeling of the British public and use the same tactics they imply on the British public back onto them.
Should say it's been cleared. We are allowed to say.
Oh, yeah, I saw the producer there looking very, very nervously as we say the word pissed, but we are allowed to say that, are we?
Yeah, just stop pissing people off. The name of your latest protest. I mean, have you ever been inconvenienced by Just Stop Oil yourself?
Yes, well, not inconvenience so much as had sporting events and things that I've been watching that have been delayed as a result. But I think it's more the fact that their tactics just aren't working. We know the public are on board when it comes to climate change and the importance of it, and we know that they're not behind Just Stop Oil with their tactics. So they're dominating all the airtime, but nothing's changing. So what they're doing is not working, and we're saying to them, well, maybe try something else.
What would you try else?
It's a bit hard to say because it's not my campaign to fight in the same way.
But you do support it, as I understand. You support the idea of
climate change being a big problem and something needs to be done about it. But
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that I have all the solutions. In the same way that I can criticise the Prime Minister, it doesn't mean I'd be a better Prime Minister.
I think you'd be great personally.
At climate change?
No, at being Prime Minister.
Well, so do I, but that's a separate conversation. I think it's a case of whatever you're doing now isn't working, and perhaps a good suggestion would be to target the people that are polluting.
But I mean, really, it was just for a laugh, wasn't it? I mean, that's the truth. It's a good title. Just stop pissing people off.
I don't think it's only for a laugh. I mean, what we do is intrinsically, there's a lot of comedy in it. But I do think that we were making a point that a lot of people could get on board with, which is that these people are disrupting people's days heavily, and we don't think the reason for them doing it is actually coming across. They're not getting the right message across. It's interesting. The mole we had inside mentioned to us that these people within Just Stop Oil seemed far more concerned with their own cause of getting arrested and being rebels and sort of uniting together against the rest of England. But it seemed they'd lost sight of what apparently they're really protesting for, which is no new oil and gas and a fight against climate change.
And doing things like this for a laugh is a very rich history of satire in this country, of using ridicule and laughter to prove a point.
I mean, you call yourself the Goon Squad, is that right?
That's the name of our production company.
No,
yes.
So you're making money out of this?
No, this video we won't make money out of, no.
Yeah, we make videos for a living. It's our job.
We make corporate videos for brands and all that, as well as the YouTube channel.
But on this video, I don't think we're going to make.
So the kind of sort of jackass stuff doesn't make money.
Some of it does, some of it doesn't. This one probably won't. It may do indirectly in terms of the publicity that one gets out around it, but the motive here isn't with money at all. It's rather like Chris Morris and Brass Eye or Sacha Baron Cohen or some of the early days of Little Britain. This country's got a great history of doing this kind of work.
If people looking on might think it's one gang of posh English people taking.
Why are you looking at me with that?
Taking on another gang of posh English people.
Well, I'm South African.
Yeah, I know. It's
so
not posh, aren't you?
I'm out of it.
He's only posh by virtue of sitting next to me. I mean, he's dirt, really. I bring him up. Yes, I suppose it takes one to know one, doesn't it? I am posh, and some of them are posh.
Let's talk about your two things you've done with Just Stop Oil. One was it was kettling them, is that right?
We would use the word surrounding. Kettling implies they couldn't leave. We say in the video very well can leave at any time. We surrounded them.
Well, if they'd all left and done what they wanted to do, then
they chose not to. They saw the opportunity.
I think they really liked our action design. They said so. They were actually a fan of what we did.
And then the second one, which people can see on YouTube, which is, I mean, it was just quite extraordinary. It was some kind of hall, and they were having their
end of season party. Yeah, because that's one of the core ways. You ask how do we tackle climate change? One of the main ways you can do it is by having a plant-based party on a Sunday afternoon. It's very effective, with a harpist and live music.
And that was something that we found really interesting. A lot of what you hear from these people when they are protesting, and you see clips of them engaging with members of the public, and people say, well, this is ruining my day, please don't do this, why are you doing this? And the protesters say, we don't want to be doing this, this situation is so dire that we have to, there is an emergency going on. Well, I don't think that really translates into having a banquet on a Sunday full of drinks and food and basically just full of Just Stop Oil people having a good time. I don't see the emergency in the climate crisis being reflected by a banquet on a Sunday.
Do you think that you had an impact on them that they won't try things again, or are you going to try to sabotage them because you've still got your mole in there?
We've still got the mole sort of in there. They've identified. They think they've identified who the mole is, and by and large they're right. But the mole is still active a little bit. I think we're done with them. I think what we have succeeded in doing, partly because it's August and it's silly season, and people like you have got nothing more interesting to talk about than people like us. But we have started that conversation of well, not started. It was already there. But we've really put that conversation in the front of important people's minds like yourself to go, are these tactics working? And you're seeing some of the founders of Just Stop Oil and some of the financial backers of Just Stop Oil coming out and saying, actually, they're not doing it right, we need to do something different. So if we've helped in a little way to make that part of the conversation, then that can only be a good thing.
So what's next? I mean, you organised a half marathon in Heathrow Terminal 5.
We did. That was a bit more light-hearted. We make videos that contain satire and comedy. We love creating videos. We also have a corporate arm of our business, which you mentioned, the Goon Squad Productions, where we create stunt-based adverts for brands. We did
See how you slipped that in there.
I
Your
just
listeners.
seamlessly.
Isn't that amazing
No.
plug you got in there?
No, but I mean, people are interested if you are making money out of this kind of thing. I mean,
Of course.
just looking at that video where you got professional runners or serious runners to run around at Terminal 5, I'm just astonished that nobody seemed interested. No,
because I think we're so used to running late for planes. in
neither
this
the
country.
passengers nor the security. They were all still
Upon,
looking at
when we had the idea to do that video, we thought maybe they'll run a few hundred meters and the security will stop us. But I think because we'd gone through the security checks, they had tickets, they were going to be on a flight, no one was too worried, they knew they wouldn't have any dangerous objects or anything like that with them.
Although the worry was the only way of getting out of the airport once you've gone through security is either on a plane or to go all the way back through arrivals and then back through passport control, where the gruff man behind the thing goes, "Where have you been?" And you go, "Well, up at WH Smith's the other side of the hall." And that's it, I've not been anywhere. So anyway,
But you sent the runners off to Belfast.
the runners went to Belfast.
Runners
Camera
went to
crew.
Belfast.
Were they pleased to go to Belfast?
They're delighted.
I think so, yeah. They
On
said they were a
weekend.
bit stiff when they landed, but other than that, they loved it.
So we don't know what's next, but it'll be something along these sorts of lines.
And another one you did was against Amazon's shop where you're going. What was the
Amazon Fresh.
They've got these new shops where it's called Just Walk Out technology, where you can take out what you want and it'll bill you automatically. So we found a clever way of hacking that to ensure we got free food.
And the point of that video was simply to put this technology to the test. I mean, it's very interesting. You hear that there's a shop that you can go to, pick something off the shelf, and just walk out. And we wanted to put that to the test and see if there was a way to hack it. We did do that, but all the food that we stole, we replaced. It was never actually stolen. We just proved that there was a flaw.
Or you
in the
went out
system.
and then gave it back
We
again.
bought it
Exactly,
back.
yeah.
So are you going to carry on with these sort of cases?
Definitely, we've done lots. I mean, we've bribed Piers Corbyn with monopoly money, claiming to be from AstraZeneca when he was anti-vaxxing. We've given a rude award to Katie Hopkins. We've done all sorts of these kind of big stunts, and I think as long as there's something interesting to say and something funny way of saying it, then we'll keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we'll try our best to carry on, but Archie smokes about 40 a day, so I honestly,
Sorry, Charles.
as long as he's with us, we'll keep going,
I'll
but I
drink
don't know how long
myself
it's
to
going to last
death,
for.
probably.
Well, that's not very green.
No, that's not very
No,
green.
it's not.
No.
But interestingly, all the Just Stop, well, not all, a lot of the Just Stop Oil protesters were quite avid smokers.
It's very stressful being arrested.
Who, I mean, interesting because you had that party which you disrupted. I mean, who are they? Because they're not all young people like you, are
They
they?
tend to be quite young. Well, that's very kind of you. We just spend a lot of money on Botox. They tend to be quite young or very old, generally speaking. There's not many of them, I suppose, the age you call a working age, because none of them really work. And the younger ones do seem to be quite privately educated, and the older ones, they're all quite well-intended people, generally. I think,
I think that's important to say.
they're nice people. They're just misguided, we feel, in the way that they're going about it.
Yeah, to build on Archie's point, all the interactions we had with them, they were looking to speak to us and engage positively. I personally just think they've gotten quite wrapped up in something, and I think they are interested in the wrong things now. I think they're more interested in being arrested and being a sort of hero to their group rather than actually combating climate change.
Well, they weren't sort of talking about the climate.
They were talking about how empowering it is to be arrested and spend a night at His Majesty's pleasure. And then you're on these groups, these other WhatsApp groups our mole get for when Rupert's been arrested and where he's been arrested, and we must all go and help him. And then Tristan's in another police station the other side of London. Let's head over there.
And they have got names like Rupert and Tristan.
They absolutely do.
And
yeah.
we joke, but these are real things and real costs to the country, having these people arrested and put in a cell overnight. It's not just something that happens. It takes a huge amount of police time, a huge amount of police resources.
£7.7 million it's cost the taxpayer for this last run of policing Just Stop Oil. It's the same amount that would be 200 police officers in salaries.
What did you think of the lady at George Osborne's wedding.
Well, that got a huge amount of press. I think it crosses a line, doesn't it, to attack someone's wedding? You were probably there. Were you there?
No, I was actually there.
You were. I thought you might, and not in a journalistic way. So how was it? You could answer that question better than I. As a good pal of George's.
Well, it was an odd protest because I was completely unaware of it. You know, the reception was afterwards. No one talked about it, and yet there it was on the front page of the paper.
It wasn't the biggest story about his wedding either. It was the email you probably received 3 days before that was far more interesting.
Just Stopwell didn't claim responsibility for it though. I don't think.
Well, they did, and then they withdrew it.
Yes, that was what they scented the.
They endorsed it, but they're saying it's sort of it's a rogue protester basically who's a fan of the cause, I guess. So I don't know if they sent that person or not.
So who would you like to target? Who would you think?
There's a few in America. To get Trump probably would be fun.
I don't think what we do is necessarily always about targeting people or individuals. We do a whole host of different things.
You want to show people up.
To say in terms of of the kind of hypocrisy level.
But some videos
works wider than that.
Of course, there's some videos that I like that definitely don't show anyone up. We did a video where we bought a whole bunch of quail's eggs from Sainsbury's. And we put them in an incubator in our flat, and 21 days later one of them hatched into a real quail. But from the shelf in Sainsbury's to hatching into a real egg.
Someone did that with goose eggs the other day.
Yes, it's happened
been
quite
a lot of
copycats,
sadly, yeah.
But yeah, so we do a wide variety of things. But I'd like to do something to Mr. Trump.
And will you ever grow up?
I hope not. We're like Peter Pan.
Yeah.
You don't want to grow up. Growing up's boring, isn't it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us, Adam.